Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. I am AdamMcKola. Hope you guys are all doing well. And the day is the day where Erik Ten Hag has been unveiled by Manchester United officially in Manchester, doing his interviews and his photography with the club, and then of course holding a press conference at Old Trafford as well, where he also bumped into a few fans, including none other than Mr. Gaz Drinkwater. Yeah, imagine that. The first person you see when you rock up at Old Trafford is Gaz. But yeah, Ten Hag is here as Manchester United manager, and we will be getting stuck into some of the quotes from the press conference, as well as reacting to Manchester United's end to season. I didn't do a match review after the game yesterday. To be honest, I've kind of switched off on the season, and I'm so glad that the season is now over. And we will react to Manchester United finishing in the Europa League spots here too, because I suppose it impacts next season and what happens with Erik Ten Hag, doesn't it? So yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below on everything we have discussed today or will discuss today. And of course, make sure you're keeping it locked by hitting that subscribe button. But as I said, Manchester United losing against Crystal Palace, but West Ham also lost, which kind of sums up Manchester United's season, which means we still qualify for the Europa League and we finished 6th spot. Now, after the season prior where we finished 2nd, then we added Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane and Cristiano Ronaldo to the team. Nobody expected Manchester United to be finishing outside those top 4 spots and in a Europa League spot, did they? Nobody expected that at all. And even once Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had been sacked, it was still there for Manchester United to do something. You know what I mean? And whilst I think Ralf Rangnick has been great in terms of what he's said off the pitch and the advice that he's been given to the club, both in press conferences and I'm sure behind closed doors, we also hear that he urged the club to act and appoint Erik Ten Hag. So if that kind of influence is around, he's been great in terms of those kind of things and what he's been saying. But we also have to look at what he did as the manager now. He was in a difficult position. You know what I mean? He kind of had to act as a director of football and a manager. He had to kind of oversee this dressing room which had broken up, focus on getting results, but also focus on the future. That's a difficult thing to do, and it shows you how wrong it is that United bring in a director of football as an interim manager. And he clearly lost the dressing room early on, whether it was his training methods, whether it was his approach to you know, just telling the truth and being honest. We know what can happen when you do that. You know, we've seen it under Jose Mourinho. We've seen it under Louis van Gaal at times. Once you start discussing the dressing room and you're being honest, even if that's what the fans want to hear, you can start to lose heads and lose people in the dressing room. And look, Manchester United should have still got top 4. When you look at Spurs and Arsenal, who were battling for it on the final day, those teams there, they went on runs of defeats. 3-4 defeats on the spin. Manchester United, you know, I think we've lost 6 away games on the run. But when you look at some of the points that we've dropped, 5 points against Watford, 2 points at Newcastle, 5 points against Everton. You know, when you think about just those points there, you beat the teams you're supposed to and Manchester United get top 4. Forget everybody else that we should be competing with. Manchester United still should have got top 4 and we didn't. So that's a failure. But all in all, I think Ralf Rangnick has been refreshing in what he has been saying and potentially could have further positive impact down the line, which he didn't have in the short term. You know, it's pointless papering over the cracks. You get Champions League football, then what? You know, half of the squad, we pretend that they're good enough for next season. I think what we're seeing and what Ten Hag was seeing sitting there at Crystal Palace was a lot of work needs done. Now it's been confirmed that he'll bring in Mitchell van der Gaag and Steve McClaren as his assistants. Steve McClaren worked with him previously as well. I think Ten Hag was his assistant prior. Obviously Steve McClaren's worked at Manchester United previously too. And for all the criticism Steve McClaren has had as a first team manager and a manager in the past and the Wally with the Brolly stuff for England and all that, one thing that everybody knows about him is he's a very good coach. He knows how to run training sessions, he knows how to coach players, and he's highly regarded as well. And Ten Hag bringing 2 people along with him that understand what he will want, understand what he will want to get out of the team, I think is important as well. We've not got no leftovers from prior management. Erik Ten Hag will get a fresh start with his people. And we're also seeing off the pitch, whilst it's been short term, and we need to see long-term improvements and we need to see long-term impact. Murto seems to be doing, and Arnold seem to be doing better than Woodward, but again, they come with the restrictions of the Glazers. They come with the commercial entity probably being number one. And that was one of the best things that Erik Ten Hag said. He was asked about Louis van Gaal's comments about Man United being a commercial entity. And he said, well, look, this commercial side of football is important because teams need to be financially successful. But at this club, number 1, 2 and 3 is football. And he reiterated that again. Number 1, 2 and 3 is football. And I love to hear that. And now look, you have to put that into action. But hopefully we start to see those things. I read a report where you hear that, you know, Ed Woodward's replacements are now spending more time the training pitch, spending more time around the staff, eating in the canteen. Little simple things which are showing that maybe they're taking an interest that he didn't. And hopefully that benefits the football side of things. But again, we know who the owners are. You know, we expect to see continued protests against them because the owners ultimately aren't good enough for the club. But again, you can only hope these guys in these positions can do as much as they can. Because look, we do spend money as well. We have spent money in the last 9 years. The only problem it's been by an accountant and by some idiots that don't have a clue about football. Hopefully, if Erik Ten Hag can surround himself with people that know more about the game, then Manchester United can move forward. Another thing that he was speaking about in the press conference, and I'll read some direct quotes out soon. He was asked about Ralf Rangnick's relationship, and he said, look, I'll take advice from people, professionals in professional positions and everybody at the club. But ultimately, I am the one that will draw my own lines. He said that about asking for Van Gaal and Daley Blind's and Van der Sar's advice. You know, people that had previously been to Manchester United. And he said, ultimately, I make my own decisions. And he seems like a man that will be making his own decisions, which you'd obviously come to expect from a Manchester United manager. Now let's read some quotes. He said, today I'm happy to meet you all. I'm really excited to be here. It's been a really warm welcome here at the club. I'm looking forward to working with you all. This is my home and I want to achieve success. The confidence is that I have a good feeling with the people around, good feeling from meetings. We have a plan. Now it's about getting the plan done. Asked if United need players, he said, I'm still in the process of analysing. Looking forward to working with these players. The season before, the squad was second in the Premier League, so there's huge potential. Now again, he kind of has to say that, don't he, to see what he can gauge from this team. But we know there's going to be a lot of changes, whether that's improvements and promotions from the academy and the under 23s, or whether that's signings being made. He was asked whether he's risking his status as one of the best up-and-coming managers, and he said he don't think it's a risk joining. I don't see it as a risk joining MUFC. I think this club has a great history. Now let's make a great future. Asked when Manchester United can win the Premier League, I don't think about that at this moment. I'm thinking that this is a project and it takes time. We want to win every game. We go from game to game and then we will see. He's obviously excited to be in the Premier League. And one of the things that I love to hear him say, and I know we're probably not going to win the league in his first season, but one of the things that I love to hear him say, he was asked about the cycle of Klopp and Pep and whether clubs have to wait for Klopp and Pep to move on before someone else can go and win the league. And what he said was, I admire them both, Man City and Liverpool. They both play fantastic football, but you will always see an era come to an end. And that is what we need to be building up towards. We need to be building up to being a team that can take over Manchester City and Liverpool. You know, despite the owners that we have sucking money left, right and centre out of the club, and despite the hopes that we have that one day they will piss off and sell the club, hopefully sooner rather than later, we will also be in a position where we've got a higher wage bill than Liverpool. You know, we spend as much, if not more, on transfers than clubs around us. So we should be in a position where we should be competing with those teams, and we need to build for that. And he said the reason he joined Manchester United is there is a fantastic history, but there's also high potential for the future. I don't speak with the players now. They need a break. They need a break to reflect, but I'm looking forward and I can't wait to start. He said he's obviously expecting Cristiano Ronaldo to bring goals to the team, and he expects him to be there, but he also wouldn't comment or commit on whether Harry Maguire would be captain, which I'm sure is another sticking point for his team going forward, who is going to be his captain. Now, I don't expect it will be Harry Maguire, but in what he said, whilst he didn't confirm Harry Maguire will be his captain, he was also quite complimentary of him, and he kind of sees that he's not going to have the ability to bring in 10 signings, you know what I mean? We've obviously losing about 5-6 players with contracts and those kind of things coming to an end. Matic, Mata, Lingard, Pogba, Dean Henderson might be off, etc, etc. We're going to be losing players. Some players aren't good enough. We're going to be promoting players. We're going to need to sign players as well. But he also realises that Harry Maguire is probably one of those players that isn't going to leave. He's still probably going to be at the club next season. And I think he will give an opportunity to players like that to either get on side with what he's doing, you know, work hard for the team, and obviously live up to the standard of football that he wants. And then if they're not up to that, and again, I'm saying this about people like Maguire, who, you know, prior to this season did okay for United, did well for England, probably has some potential there. We know there's others that don't, where if you're not on it, if you're not with it with Ten Hag, then you're probably going to get cut short. What happens with Cristiano Ronaldo, that's going to be interesting. There's going to be a wholesale changes for Manchester United this summer. And remember, we'll have it all covered here on this channel, so make sure you're keeping it locked. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're keeping it locked to the channel by hitting that subscribe button. Let us know your thoughts on Erik Ten Hag's first day at Manchester United. And of course, we'll be back with more videos, loads to do over the transfer window, and of course pre-season coming up as well, which will be out on tour. So keep it locked. See you in a bit.